Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know With the News You Trust studio, sponsored by Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Dale Minyo. It's a Monday morning, and we feel fortunate to have gotten 33/100ths of an inch of rain overnight. Radar looks like some may have gotten more. Eastern Ohio and southeastern Ohio particularly might be getting rain yet this morning. Preliminary results of a new study released by the Energy Futures Initiative Foundation on Friday show corn ethanol has the potential to achieve near net zero carbon emissions by 2035 and net zero then by 2050, outlining the pathway to achieve that goal. A new study points to the use of current farm and ethanol plant practices to continue to move corn ethanol to net zero carbon emissions. The potential for corn ethanol to be a sustainable aviation fuel feedstock hinges on the ethanol industry's ability to further reduce emissions. The preliminary results released during a Growth Energy press conference show what the foundation said are 9 currently available and affordable measures that, taken together, could get corn ethanol to net zero or even negative emissions by 2050. The study identifies the acceleration of current measures that can and are being taken at plants and on the farm. That includes carbon capture and storage of the fermentation process, low carbon energy use at plants, including combined heat and power generation with biomass, and using carbon-free electricity. In addition, the foundation points to the use of cover crops, no-till farming, applying enhanced efficiency fertilizers, and fertilizer management practices as effective measures. Today, ethanol, even with its significantly improved carbon performance with respect to gasoline, would not qualify for tax credits available for sustainable aviation fuel, said Ernst Moniz, former U.S. Secretary of Energy and current CEO of the foundation. The research sponsored by Growth Energy included months of analyzing the carbon intensity reduction potential, feasibility, and cost effectiveness of a total of 21 different measures taking place on farms and at biorefineries across the U.S. The full study results are set to be unveiled at the Clinton Global Initiative Annual Summit during Climate Week, New York City, next week. Today's weather brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance. Online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
We've got more moisture trying to point toward Ohio here over the next 24 to 48 hours. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at your forecast update. All right, our first wave of moisture that came through yesterday has kind of settled off and is gone. I think for most of your Monday, we just see a mix of clouds and sunshine. I guess I won't rule out the odd shower, but it looks to me like we don't see anything trying to shake back loose in Ohio until we get past the midnight hour. Then from midnight tonight right on through tomorrow, we have on again, off again showers and storms. Could pick up another 1/4 to 1.5 inches depending on where you are at and what kind of thunderstorm activity we see. We are dry then for most of the rest of this week, Wednesday into the start of the weekend. The only wild card that is out there, a tropical system is going to be coming up through the Gulf and probably hitting the the Florida panhandle as we move through. That could throw some moisture our direction. It really looks like most of it dies out over Kentucky and Tennessee, but keep an eye out if you're in extreme southern parts of Ohio for some moisture late week. The rest of us are going to stay dry. And then what's really interesting is some models are trying to keep that lingering moisture in over the east all the way through the start of next week with showers and storms in for Monday and for Tuesday. I don't think it works out like that. I'm calling for a drier round. Maybe we see a little bit of moisture on the 30th, late 30th into the 1st, but I think we swing right back to dry weather then for the rest of the 10-day forecast window. A lot of uncertainty out there, though, so I'm going to watch this pattern very closely. And again, it's all predicated on the tropical moisture. If that falls flat and it doesn't get as far north, hey, the whole pattern, in my mind, goes a lot drier. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan.
Joining me is Julie Loizo, owner, Axis, Ohio. Julie, thanks for joining us. Several people may not know you by your married name. You were a state officer a few years ago. What is your maiden name they might know you by?
Sure. I was Julie Chance, state officer in 1998.
So when we talk about your family business, as I understand it over the years, you've had a trucking business, you've been through a couple different seed programs, and now in biologicals. And your role in all of this is what?
Oh, it's been an interesting ride the last few years for sure. Yes, where Axis Ohio started strictly with seed, corn, and soybeans in Ohio, and now we expanded and added biologicals and some other Meristem products to our lineup. So I've been there with Nathan as we've changed and grown over the years.
And in talking with Nathan over the years, he's really counted on you for a lot of feedback and some balance to help understand, am I thinking right? How does this affect our family and timing? How would you comment on your role to help provide that balance for the business and family?
Oh, sure. Owning a small business is certainly a risk, and it's everybody on board. I am a little more conservative in the mindset, and Nathan is more the go-getter, so we balance each other out well. We have 3 boys, and one of them, Chance, is certainly interested in the ag business, so letting him play a role in that now as well.
Words of wisdom for young women in particular who are trying to figure out their role, maybe coming from a farm and going to an ag business, or never been on the farm and going to ag business. What do you have to say to them about the opportunity for them in the future?
Oh, there's great opportunity in ag as a whole. I think owning a family business or being an active participant in a family business, I certainly am kind of behind the scenes most days, but there's plenty to be done for everybody on the finance side, on the marketing side, lots of avenues to pursue.
Julie, thanks for the update and thanks for the conversation with me today.
Thank you so much. Always glad to be here.
And at midday today, we'll get the final update from Axis Seed from their county fair check presentations held at the Ashland County Fair on Friday. Also, Grow Next Gen brings agriculture science to the classroom. Tune in tomorrow to hear about how Katie Rydell uses Grow Next Gen's curriculum with her Fairfield High School students. As always, this time of year, both the on-feed and placement data will be a big-ticket item on Friday when USDA releases its next monthly cattle on-feed report. It'll be the September 1 cattle on-feed report, and it'll be noon Ohio time. Once again, there's a large variance between what analysts believe placements could be, as projections are anywhere from down 3.2% to potentially up 2.3%. Given that last month's placement data was up notably, up 6% compared to a year ago, some believe that placements will be either slightly lower or steady compared to a year ago, as hot temperatures and the break in feeder cattle prices likely had a negative effect on feeder cattle sales in August. But one factor that the market doesn't seem to be giving enough attention to and could prove wrong is feeder cattle imports. As of last week, Mexican feeder cattle imports alone are up 23% from a year ago. All eyes will be on Friday's cattle on feed report as the marketplace is desperate for some stability and hopes that Friday's report doesn't reveal any surprises. Crop farmers won't be able to count on any support from USDA's commodity programs when payments are announced in October for agriculture risk coverage and price loss coverage, better known as ARC and PLC. A farmer harvesting corn last year, there are few commodity payments expected under ARC and PLC next month under last year's crop. Meanwhile, corn, wheat, and soybean producers are all forecast to see double-digit declines in income from their crops this year. A new farm income update from the Food and Agricultural Policy Research Institute, better known as FAPRI, projects farmers are expected to receive $204 million in ARC payments in October, just $10 million in PLC payments. That's higher than USDA, which places combined ARC and PLC numbers at about $124.6 million. Still, USDA forecast 2024 crop receipts for corn, soybeans, and wheat farmers to fall $26.2 billion. That works out to a 20% drop in corn, 14.6% drop in soybeans, and a 12.3% decline for wheat. Back with the market numbers after this.
Navigating mental health insurance benefits can be overwhelming, but you don't have to do it alone. The Mental Health Insurance Assistance Office is here to guide you. Our expert team will help you connect with your health insurance plan to understand available behavioral health benefits. Say goodbye to frustration and hello to control over your mental well-being. Call 855-438-6442 today.
Soybeans grown in Ohio and across the heartland are meeting the feedstock demand for clean fuels. Biodiesel is a clean-burning and reliable fuel that enhances engine life, power, and mileage. Plus, this high-performance fuel works in any diesel engine without modification. With biodiesel, we fuel the economy, do good for the environment, and support soybean farmers. Learn how using biodiesel can add value to every bushel of soybeans grown at soyohio.org. Today's market's brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. On Friday, December corn was down 4. The November beans were down 1 1/4. And next July, well, let's go December wheat up 3. And next July, wheat up 1 3/4. Cattle were slightly higher and hogs were lower. Let's find out more now on what was driving those markets. Time now for the Louis Dreyfus Grain Analysis, brought to you by the Ohio Soybean Council and your soybean checkoff. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished mixed to mostly lower last Friday, ahead of a weekend that started to bring a little rain into the eastern Corn Belt. As we take a look at the finishing numbers here, it was kind of an interesting day overall. We did see lower numbers on both corn and soybeans, although to be clear, the soybean market chopped back and forth through the day before deciding to finish just a little bit lower. On the wheat side of things, it was a division between soft and hard wheat through most of Friday. Chicago wheat did finish a little bit stronger. KC and Minneapolis hard wheats were lower. Well, call them steady to a little bit lower. Just at the end of the day, there was not a lot of excitement that we could get going with right there. Now, as we take a look at the headlines that were popping up on Friday, harvest pressure was one of the things that was noted as harvest really started to ramp up, especially here in the eastern Corn Belt here over the past week or so. The other thing that was talked about was weather and the fact that there were a couple of computer models that started to take a hurricane, or at least a larger tropical system, toward New Orleans for the end of this week coming up. Now, the weather guy in me says, all right, we'll see what this kind of turns into. Way too early to try and gauge tracks of tropical systems, but you know the markets, they're always looking for something. The flash reporting system did put out one mention, 121,000 metric tons of soybeans to China. Now, is that enough to cover the rumors that we heard earlier in the week? Nope. We heard rumors that China had used the break in the Board of Trade to maybe secure 3 to 5 cargoes of U.S. soybeans for November. We will see. I would think that if that's the case, we'll see more flash sales being reported. S&P Global put out their initial estimates for 2025 U.S. cropped acres, saying corn's going to be 92.7, beans 85, and 45.8 million acres of wheat, all wheat. Again, way too early to talk about that as well. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. In the numbers then, on the overnight, December corn up 3.5 at 405 1/4 cents. March up 3 1/4, trading for 23 1/4 cents. And for some reason, if you carried it all the way to May, it's up 2 3/4 at 433 3/4. November new crop beans up 9 1/4 now at 1021 1/4 cents. I say that because it was only up 6 a little bit ago. January beans up 9 1/4 at 1038 3/4, and next March beans up 8.5 at 1052 1/4 cents. On the wheat, if you're still carrying it, up 4 3/4, now at 573 1/4 cents. Next July new crop up 4.5 at 608 1/4 cents. This rain, get a little bit more of it, might have more people encouraged to plant wheat this fall. In livestock, October cattle up $2.50 on Friday at $182.47. The December up $2.07 at $183.20. February $183.77, up $1.42. Hogs were a little more on the mixed side. October down 2 cents at $82.22. The December down 7 cents at $74.22, while February closed up 22 cents at $77.55. October feeder cattle up 12 cents at $243.90. November $241.77 and up 42 cents. October Class 3 milk $23.86, down 5 this morning. November's also down a nickel at $22.98. Hopefully you got some of that rain. If not, it sounds like there could be some off and on if you get lucky in the next 3 or 4 days, and we'll take all of that we can get. Not only do we need to recharge the water systems, we need to get some of that water down into the subsoil just to get things back closer to normal. Thanks for joining us. This is the Ohio AgNet.